I haven't eaten dinner yet, okay? I'm just gonna set that there. Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be doing another book haul. This time, book haul for my birthday. Before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments, when's your birthday? Many books. It's almost like my friends and family know me and know to buy me books that I love. Also, because for a while I just started sending out my Amazon wish list because I couldn't think of anything else to tell them. Oh yeah, we are definitely going to be taking food breaks because I am hungry, okay? Anyway, there's going to be not really a specific order, honestly. But let's just jump right into all the books I got. So starting out first is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and Addie at Books and Tea Time was wonderful enough to buy this for me. I actually read this last year for Reading Rush, now that I think about it, and I really enjoyed it. I do think this book gets a little overhyped, but still saying I definitely enjoyed this book. It is a tragic love story following the characters of Achilles and Patroclus from Greek mythology, set during the Trojan War. It's definitely a tearjerker. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't cry at the end, and I loved it so much. Thank you again, Addie, for adding this to my shelves because I've been really wanting to reread it. I keep seeing talk about it constantly and how TikTok managed to make this a bestseller again, even though I think it came out in 2014, something like that. 2012, actually. So that's really impressive on TikTok's part. Can't wait to reread it now and go through and tab it all up because I'm sure I will. Maybe I should do that for Madeline Miller's books at some point because I love both of them, but I didn't annotate when I read the both of them. It's a good idea. Next is another book from one of my absolutely wonderful booktube friends. This is Wolfsong by TJ Klune, which was recommended to me and I read because of Paige at the PM Reader. I also will put links to both of these wonderful ladies in the description down below. You should definitely go follow them. I read this in June, I think, and I loved it so much that I stayed up until 1 a.m. to finish it. This is following Ox, and he meets the Bennetts, who are this family that move in down the street from him, and they end up changing his entire life. Let's be honest here, I'll just tell you, it's because they're werewolves. And this story is such a ride. It is so emotional. It is funny. I loved these characters so much. I fell in love with them in this, and my love just grew as the series progressed. Thank you so much, Paige, putting this on my shelves. Even though now, anytime I look at it, all I can think is, do I want to subject myself to that torture again? Yes, I do. I also realized when I filmed my Halloween Do I Have That Book video, she got this for me and it came in the mail like 2 days after I filmed that, and it was like, really? I needed a werewolf book. And here it is now. These next three were from my boyfriend, Josh, who is absolutely wonderful in encouraging me to fill my shelves. It's as though he's listened to me talk about this book a time or two. He got me Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. Spent any time on my channel, you know I love this book so much. Everybody always talks about Red, White, and Royal Blue when it comes to male-male romances, but honestly, I think this deserves just as much love. This is a cross-country road trip story following these rivals who are actually a part of the same team for Odyssey, which is this made-up card game. They are traveling to a convention where they can compete to play Odyssey for a giant grand prize. Both of the characters do not get along, and there are so many fun tropes that they have to go through as they travel across the country. I'm so glad I have it on my shelves. I'm definitely gonna reread this at some point. It even has a map. Oh, I love it. Okay, and then next up from him was First Grave on the Right by Dorinda Jones. This is the first book in the Charlie Davidson series, which is right here, is my absolutely favorite series in the world. I've reread it most out of any books in my life. I gave the first book to a coworker at an old job I had, recommending them to the series. I was planning to stay at that job for quite a while. COVID happened. I did not stay there, and I never got my book back, so he was nice enough to buy me a new first edition to put back on my shelves because I might be rereading the series here soon. Next was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is, I think, like a speculative sci-fi mystery. I actually initially got the recommendation for this book from Josh's mom, so ironic that he bought me this book. I think the story is following a man who is trapped in a recurring day, and every day he wakes up in a different person's body and has to try and solve the death of Evelyn Hardcastle. I've heard great things about this book, and honestly, I really want to pick it up. Then these next two are technically from my absolutely adorable sister-in-law who bought me a Barnes & Noble gift card, and I used them to buy these, well, this is one of them. So this is Yes and I Love You by Ronnie Lauren. I originally heard of the second book from Chandler Ainsley, and I thought it sounded really cute, kind of like a romance with some serious topics, which we know I love thanks to Emily Henry. So I decided to add the first one to my TBR list. Don't really know what it's about. Apparently our main character Holland is using a fake reviewing personality named Ms. Poppy. In reality, she has absolutely terrible anxiety. Then her boss tells her she has to reveal the truth to the world or lose her job. She ends up having to hire Jasper, who is an actor, to help her overcome her fears of getting on stage. Sounds like a good time. Definitely got that heavy aspect with the anxiety rep. I am really excited to get into this one. I realized my shelves were severely lacking in romances and lighthearted books to act as palette cleansers between all of these heavy mysteries that I own, so I figured I needed to buy a few of those. The other romance I also bought was Flipside by James Bailey, and this one I actually purchased because there are not many male romance authors, particularly for heterosexual relationships and romance books. So I saw that, was very intrigued, picked it up, and basically this man who is down on his luck decides to start living his life by the flip of a coin and leave everything up to chance. I was immediately thinking of Two-Face / D&D, and honestly, super into that. Sounds like it could be a very entertaining time. These next two were purchased because my wonderful mom took me to a bookstore and basically was like, okay, pick what you want. First is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth, and this is a mystery told in two timelines. One is following two girls in 1902 who go to this all-girls school, and I think they're lesbians, either end up disappearing or dying. And then in the other timeline, we are following a film crew who is going to film a documentary about these women at the school, and they like start to uncover the mystery along the way. I've heard good things. It's a bit chunky though. We know how I feel about big books. The booktubers I know who have read this book and praised it a lot all tend to have very similar book tastes to myself, so I'm really hoping I will enjoy this. Also, I've only ever seen the hardcover, and honestly, I actually really love this paperback version. This next one my mom actually saw and held it up to me and was like, this sounds just like you. So it's Bad Girls Never Say Die by Jennifer Matthew. She told me it sounded like me because it is a gripping gender-flipped reimagining of The Outsiders, and she knows I love that book. And it's set in the 1960s in Houston, Texas. Also, I pointed out that Moxie is one of my books on my favorites shelf, and she was like, okay, well, this is perfect. You gotta get it now. I don't want to know anything other than gender-flipped Outsiders and Texas. Can't wait to read this. Might do a Outsiders versus Bad Girls Say Never Die reading vlog because I've been wanting to reread The Outsiders as well, and I do own that. It's a good idea. Next, my terrific best friend Catherine sent me Nunshell Sleep by Elle Marney, and this I think is some final kids, I think one of them's a boy, who survived awful massacres by serial killers are now working with the police to try and solve another serial killer mystery. Very like Silence of the Lambs, but make it YA, and I'm all over it. I'm so excited to read this one. I've heard good things. I love this cover. This cover is so badass. I don't think anyone's gonna be surprised that I asked for this one for my birthday. Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Oh, gotta take off the little sticker. Didn't think about it. My other terrific best friend Allie got me this one. When I was reading the arc, I basically was like, hey, I want this for my birthday. Y'all don't have to buy it, but if you do, I'd really appreciate it. And I'm so glad they did. I cannot wait to go in and tap up all of those beautiful and wonderful lines that I read. TJ Klune just has a way to my heart. This story is following Wallace, who has recently passed away, and he is taken by a Reaper to Karen's Crossing, which is a tea house in which he will learn how to deal with his recent death and how to possibly move on past that, and ends up meeting many wonderful and interesting characters while at this tea shop, including Hugo, who is the owner that helps him to cross over. I love this book so much. I give it 5 stars. When did I read this? In August? One of those. Whichever one it was, I'll put a link to it. Thank you, Allie. These next two are from my terrific brother and sister-in-law. They got me first The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This one I've heard mixed reviews of, but the people who love it are, again, people I tend to have very similar book tastes with, so I'm really hoping I will enjoy this one as well. Basically, this story is following a young woman who has decided to commit suicide, and when she goes to do it, she ends up being transported to this midnight library in which every single book is a different story about how her life could have gone if she'd made a different decision. And I'm so so interested in that. I've heard amazing things about Matt Haig's writing pretty much across the board, and I can't wait to pick this one up. I'm so glad I have it on my shelves. Definitely gonna be a more serious read, and I gotta plan that out well, but very excited to read this one. Then finally, they got me Fredrik Backman's Anxious People. Now, if you have seen my anticipated 5-star reads, you know this baby is on there, so perfect one to buy for me. Thanks, Bob and Tamara. Well, this story is following a ragtag group of people who I believe were at a viewing for an apartment to rent when a bank robber ends up running in and holding all of them hostage. I've heard this is very character focused. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about Fredrik Backman's work. This seems to be the one that tackles the least serious subjects, so I think my chances of enjoying it might be a little bit higher. I can't wait to pick this one up. I have just heard fantastic things. I've also heard his writing is very poignant and beautiful and interesting. Anyway, I just cannot wait to pick this one up. Okay, so looking at all those books, that's not a lot, but honestly, if I had waited for my usual end of year book haul, I feel like that would have been majority of it, and it would have been very long. So probably a good idea that I went ahead and did this now. Thank you so much to everybody who bought me a book. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much to you guys for coming to my channel today. Again, I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have my Goodreads, Instagram, Storygraph, and Tumblr linked in the description if you're interested in keeping up with what I'm reading. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!